See this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn when you sign up for a new account. Get your show on Apple and Spotify, get helpful stats, and all the support you need to sound your very best.
This is Jed MacKay, and you're listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. I am one of your special guest co-hosts for this episode, while our High Priest of Khonshu, Ray, is off on a little sabbatical. Congratulations, by the way, Ray.
Congrats, Ray.
Yay.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah.
Khonshu has a new acolyte.
That's right. A new acolyte for Khonshu. I love it. So I'm Justin the Owl, as most of you may recognize, and joining me as well is one of my favorite co-hosts, Jack Russell.
Give me a keg of beer.
Oh, me? Me?
Yeah.
I know that guy.
How are you, Russell?
I'm doing well. I am, obviously, if anybody knows me and my Moon Knight fandom, I'm especially excited to talk about this issue.
Yes, I'm thrilled that you're joining us for this. I was so hoping you could. And we're also joined by two other guests who are also themselves returning alumni to Into the Night. We've got Mario. How you doing, Mario?
Pretty good, pretty good.
And also Leyna. How you doing, Leyna?
'Cause I'm living it up for Leyna.
Hey, pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Beer.
So glad both of you could join us for this discussion of
It's a late
Moon
night
Knight
for me,
number
but
25. Late night, yeah. You're
Yeah.
Which coast are you on?
I'm on the
I
East
forget.
Coast.
Okay, yeah. So you're on the same time zone as us, yeah. So it's a little late, yeah, but not
Yeah.
too late.
That's the first time I've gotten to chat with Mario. I mean, I hear him on the show all the time, or they read his feedback all the time. But it's nice to finally chat with you through the internets, Mario.
Yeah, definitely.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, definitely. And what a great occasion that brings us all together. An amazing issue of Moon Knight. We have number 25, a double-sized blockbuster or triple-sized blockbuster. I don't even know how long.
I
this
like that they on the cover it says enormous.
enormous. Yeah.
Well, it's
I
81
love it.
pages, so it's practically a quadruple sized.
Oh,
blockbuster.
81. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mario. Yeah, I knew it was a big one, but
Now,
yeah,
apart,
it's
of course,
fantastic.
some of that is a reprint. Which how excited were you, Justin, that they reprinted one of our favorite stories in the back of
Yes,
this?
I love that, and that's a piece of that story that usually gets omitted from a lot of the other reprints because it's kind of like the epilogue.
Yeah,
So I was very happy to see that. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, so let's go around and get our initial impressions of the issue. Russell, you want to start us off? What would you think?
well, okay, so we really have to turn back the clock to the end of 24 when
The cliffhanger ending.
Morpheus uttered those famous last words, Black Spectre.
Mhm.
Anybody that knows me has listened to my previous appearances on the show or listened to one of my shows knows that the Black Spectre is my all-time favorite Moon Knight villain. I would venture to say that he's the most, well, at least the Carson Knowles version was the most effective Moon Knight villain in the least amount of time.
Absolutely.
Very efficient.
Yes, because Knowles, he appeared in the original Moon Knight 25, one of my all-time favorite comics.
Classic.
He appeared in Resurrection War, and then God and Country, and that's it.
And the Resurrection War thing was weird. Like, we can all kind of agree
It
that was weird.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So like we can pin it down to two main storylines.
Yeah.
Issue 25 and then the God and Country one. And
Mhm.
that's impressive for a villain to have two main stories like that and leave such an indelible impression for almost 40 years.
Well, yes, because I think it's because he was super effective. Like he brought Moon Knight down, like
completely.
Yeah, he destroyed him on every front possible until he took a little fall. But and then of course we got the I'm just gonna say it, the shitty Black Spectre from
the wannabe.
from
who we see in this issue.
Who we do see in this issue. I was very happy about that, just to have some sort of thread line. But yeah, love Black Spectre, so I was very excited for this issue. Like I said, I think if this is going into what we assume is the end of Jed's run, besides Bushman, who I think even Jed said no one really cares to ever see again.
Correct.
Black Spectre was the last heavy hitter that we needed from the old Rogues Gallery.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Midnight, not Midnight Man, but Midnight.
Oh, yeah.
But
Jeff Wilde, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless,
Anyway,
of course, we already have.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, super excited. I thought the issue was amazing. I was a little thrown off. Sometimes the flashbacks inside of a story work, and sometimes I'm a little off put by them, but I thought it worked pretty well here. It was cool to see, Mark as a mercenary. We've only seen that a few times in the past, really.
Yeah.
And did Marvel totally bait and switch like the collectors and put Layla's first actual appearance here and market it that it was going to be City of the Dead #1? Because
did they say it was her first appearance?
It seemed like they were pushing it because she's on the
Oh.
she's got the variant cover, or maybe that's her
first appearance as the Scarlet Scarab.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but she was in here.
Yeah, yeah. I love that.
But
That was a nice surprise. Yeah.
I definitely want to hear everybody else's thoughts, but I loved what they did with the Black Spectre, making him what he's always been, the antithesis of Moon Knight, with his own kind of twisted midnight mission, who is trying to help people that are bad. But and we got some great moments in this with 8-Ball, and of course Zodiac is still involved. I'm wondering if the whole Zodiac thing is a red herring, because I had the theory after the end of the last one that Zodiac might be the Black Spectre, and it seems like they're playing that up with Jed, having Zodiac. I'm gonna kill the Black Spectre. Nobody can get to Moon Knight. Nobody but me. At first I was a little disappointed that the Black Spectre does not have the classic design, but I understand it is also we think, different Black Spectre.
Yeah, we don't know who it is yet. Yeah.
He has this Darth Vader, Dr. Claw, Baron Karza look to him that's awesome. It's just not, I was glad that the original Black Spectre armor was like it was almost like his Khonshu statue behind him.
Behind him, yes. That was really cool.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to see where it goes. I'm also really anxious to theorize who we think the Black Spectre is. I will say that we saw that Carson Knowles grave, but we never saw them opening it. Yeah, I mean, before I give my final thoughts or anything or get too far into spoilers, I want to hear everybody else's take. So,
Mario, you want to go next and give your thoughts?
Sure. I think what fascinated me the most about this issue were all the connections. I mean, there are little bits and pieces here that link to the entire run. Mountain Marco shows up again.
Yeah.
Manslaughter Marsdale shows up again.
Marsdale, yeah.
Tombstone shows up. Jigsaw shows up again. I always get those two confused.
It was Rampage, wasn't it?
The guy with the drones?
Yeah.
Looked like Jigsaw to me.
Well,
it looked like Jigsaw too, but
his name, he called him Stuart Clark. Stuart Clark. I think that's Rampage.
Might be. In any case, I believe he's the same guy who stole Moon Knight's money back in the day.
Yeah.
And we have 8 Ball. Come on, who had a redemption of 8 Ball on their bingo card?
So good.
That was great. And Waxman reappearing.
Reappearing. Tiger gets a little throw in. All these little bits and pieces linking together. I have to disagree, though. I don't think it's a fake out with Zodiac. I'm pretty sure he's not the Black Spectre, because if you look at the way he's behaved in previous issues, his reaction to no, I'm the bad guy, not him, is very in character.
Right.
I can't see him pretending to be someone else.
I mean, you're 100% correct.
Plus the way he reacted when Steven was asking him, are you the Black Spectre? And he just laughed at him in his face.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of the arch nemesis of the hero I'm not supposed to mention anymore.
Of course, yes.
Who also had a sort of jealousy about no, I'm his arch enemy, not these other guys. And has occasionally gone after other villains because of it. Now the characters themselves are very different. I'm dancing around it because I don't want to get bleeped again.
Well, from now on, we will refer to him as the hee ho ho man.
Yes. I have my theories about Black Spectre. I have some obvious theories, some fringe theories, and some way out there theories. But I don't want to get into that until we've gone through more of the issue. So I'm just going to say that I loved how much it tied together. This could be an excellent last issue if there was a final battle.
Right.
The fact that Black Spectre gets away and the battle continues doesn't detract from the fact that this ties in a lot of stuff.
I can't believe I forgot to bring up Mountain Marco.
Yeah, that's quite possibly his last appearance.
That's such a running gag on Tomes of Evil.
It is.
So, Leyna, what did you think?
Well, I think Mario pretty much stole a lot of what I was going to say. I was going to say a lot that I liked the callbacks to a lot of different things in MacKay's run, and also the deep cuts of earlier runs too, all the way back to the Minch run.
Definitely.
We even had an editorial note saying that it was referring to Marvel Premiere. Marvel Premiere issues.
That was a deep cut. Yeah,
with the mind control thing.
Not to mention a character who was name dropped from the Mark Spector Moon Knight era. And nobody remembers him because he was only in like 3 issues, and he was a very 90s character.
And we saw Frenchie in this issue.
We did.
For the first time in a long time. Yeah, I was happy about that.
I have my theories about who the new Black Spectre is, but I'll save it for later, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought, like, if this would have been the moment, and maybe we still will at some point, and maybe in another flashback, but I felt like this was the one time that Jed could have just put in a little Bushman cameo and just say, "Oh, he was in here. He was in the series, but we're not going to focus on him." They mentioned him, of course, but I'm okay never seeing Bushman again. I don't know about you guys, but
I think
some villains are just overused.
Yeah,
I think that ship has sailed. Yeah.
Justin, what did you think?
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. It did tie everything together really well, and it felt kind of epic in scope. Like we've got Moon Knight going through this whole gauntlet with the dude with Rampage, with the drones, with Waxman, with Manslaughter, and Man Mountain beating the tar out of him, and he's still the great lines here. I mean, one of my favorite bits of dialogue here. I've got to get to the page. It's when he's talking to Rampage, and Rampage is giving him a bunch of grief about the fact that he doesn't use guns.
Yeah.
And he says, "It's no big mystery, Clark. I don't like who I am with a gun in my hand. Neither will you." I just love that. And that whole page, I mean, that page could go on.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
on the
That
wall.
whole
It's
splash page was
gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous. There's some breathtaking art in this issue too.
Oh yeah, the art is just off the chain.
Yeah.
And it's both artists too. The one that, of course, Alessandro and the artist who does the flashback, the cameos.
There's actually 3 artists.
Oh yes, you're right. Yes, there's 3 artists.
The bits in the Mermindian are done by another artist entirely, named looks like Partha
Vitti?
Pratim.
Oh, okay.
I
I've heard
pronounced that correctly.
I've heard of
Oh,
them.
and Alessandro Vitti did the others. Yes, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
And of course,
got
you know,
Alessandro's in this issue.
Alessandros, yeah.
Always the MVP of this entire series, Rachelle Rosenberg's. Oh my
colors.
God.
Yes.
Oh yes. I mean, I've known many colorists over my time. I'm actually friends with a couple of them, but
Nice.
she raised it to a whole new level in this book.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree completely. And I hope that she stays, even if the creative team changes for the writer and artist. I hope that she sticks around because she's very talented and she's left a great mark on this book.
She's magic. Wait, Ray has got to get her on this show because she is just incredible.
Yeah, I'd love to hear her thoughts on working on this book.
I would think, because we were talking about how this has lots of threads to the entire series, and he was mentioned a couple times, but we never saw like a resolution with Sarnak. I mean, Sarnak obviously he surrendered himself to the police and was working with the Black Spectre, it seems, but he wasn't in this issue at all. Like, I guess he's just in jail chilling. I don't know, but
yeah, that's true. I wonder if they're going to address that in the next issue. Yeah,
maybe he's still out there, or maybe he's still maybe he's working from the inside,
or maybe he's just hiding from Moon Knight.
Yeah,
that's possible.
Well, he'll be gone for another 40 years at this point.
What were some of the things that surprised us about this issue?
8-Ball.
8-Ball. The redemption with 8-Ball, definitely.
Well, not only the redemption, but him rising beyond comic relief.
Yes.
You know, the whole point of it's like, I was a jet propulsion engineer. Of course, I know how to fly a plane.
I used to fly around a vehicle that looked like a 8-ball rack.
And I used to beat the tar out of this dude from a sleep dimension or something, you know.
Yeah, this guy with bug eyes called Sleepwalker.
But you're totally right. I think we have slowly, I mean, obviously the community has become endeared to 8-Ball, but it feels like this was a natural progression for him to, you know, turn good, at least for now. I'm so glad that Jed did all that, especially talking about, you know, his scientific background, because Jed talked to us about that when we chatted with him on Tomes of Evil, and how 8-Ball's a smart guy. Why in the hell is he robbing people in a giant 8-Ball
with a pool stick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I feel like we have come so far. Issue 1, Moon Knight throws 8-Ball off a building. And
in 2 years we've come a long way.
Yeah. It feels right, and that was like the big like cheer moment of the issue. Is like, yeah, it was pretty convenient that 8-Ball swooped in and saved the day, but it made sense. It made sense.
Yeah, definitely. I agree completely.
Leyna, what were some things that surprised you about the issue?
Well, one thing was with knew ahead of time that there was going to be a flashback with the Karnak Cowboys and everything, but I kind of assumed that Bushman was going to be a part of that flashback. But that kind of surprised me that he wasn't. Not that I was necessarily disappointed by it, but it just kind of surprised me.
Right.
Yeah.
I am also surprised because, and you guys might be able to correct me. Maybe I'm getting my my wires crossed. Was Randall not also a mercenary with Mark at some point, or am I making that up? Was Randall Spectre, or were they were in the Marines together?
Yeah, I think it was more the Marines. I think.
Okay, well, yeah,
I can't remember, but I don't.
The thing that I was thinking that was sort of a retcon was that I was pretty sure there was one of the other runs that said that Mark met Frenchie while he was with Bushman.
Right.
And here they're saying that they already knew each other before Mark met Bushman.
Yeah.
Okay, just doing a quick Google because I'm fairly good at research. They were in fact mercenaries together, but it isn't necessarily they were together all the time.
Right.
At one point, they had a falling out because of an assignment in Italy, and they went their own ways. At some point, the chronology, of course, is incredibly vague, so we don't know if it was before this has happened or after it happened. But the fact that Mark is in Egypt, and you kind of get the feeling that he goes from what we see in this issue to working with Bushman. In fact, this may be fairly close to his origin.
Yeah,
right.
Can't really say for certain, but you
get the feeling that it's circling
years
anyway.
minimum.
Yeah, it's circling the moment that he finds the tomb. Yeah.
That suggests that all of his backstory with his brother and them working in the CIA happened before this.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, what surprised you?
Definitely the flashback, seeing Frenchie and the other guy and Layla. Like that was a big surprise. I thought, oh wow, I thought this was going to be like something covered in City of the Dead or something like that. But no, we're seeing it here. Okay, cool. No, that was a great surprise. And also seeing Man Mountain Marco. I was like, oh my god, there he is. Some cybernetic eyes. I love it. That is the best. And
I kind of thought he'd be getting cybernetic eyes at some point.
Yeah. And he laid into Moon Knight too. He got some good hits in on him.
The chainsaw.
Yeah. After Moon Knight broke his nose, I was thinking eventually he's going to need a whole cybernetic face.
Yeah. And he said, by node. Because
that was another a great bit of dialogue that I loved at the end of that particular fight. He said, Marsdale might live, maybe you will too, but back in the Myrmidon, I made you a promise, Marco. Oh god, I love it. That's the Moon Knight I love right there. Oh, perfection, chef's kiss.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the things that surprised me, I wasn't expecting to see Hydra.
That was cool.
I was just like, oh, okay, Hydra's in here. And
and a little
that one guy kind of looked like he had a run-in with Logan at some point.
Yeah, the 3 slashes down the face.
Yeah.
For all we know, Soldier was flying the plane.
That's true. That's true.
It would not shock me at this point.
Yeah.
Although the timing's probably a little bit wrong considering how long ago that was. But actually, one of the fun bits about that flashback, and I suppose this is a good time for it, is when the Karnak Cowboys, and it's not a great name, were doing their mission, they had code names. And these code names were from the tarot. And just for my own amusement, I dug up what those cards mean. And I'm going to give you the very, very brief, because you can talk about tarot for hours.
Oh, yeah.
Mark's code name was Temperance, which means, according to the classic work, economy, moderation, frugality, management, and accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
There's also reverse. We'll leave those out. Meanwhile, Leyna was the sun.
Yeah.
Material happiness, fortunate marriage, contentment, which is interesting. Then we had Dr. Plesko as the tower. Misery, distress, indigence, adversity, calamity, deception, ruin. Basically disaster. Just hold that in your head for a little bit.
Yeah.
And finally, Frenchie was the devil, which is violence, vehemence, extraordinary efforts, force, that which is predestined but is not for this reason evil.
Which does track with the Frenchie of that era.
Right.
So the fact that Dr. Plesko was assigned the tower.
I see where you're going with this, Mario.
I mean, it, at this point, like I said, I have like 4 different theories for who Black Spectre could be in various levels of belief.
Well, maybe we should just get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about who we think Black Spectre is.
Go for it, Mario.
I have to say that my leading candidate is still Dr. Plesko. For the simple reason that this is comics. If you don't see a body, and also in this issue, he talks about wanting to, Black Spectre talks about wanting to kill Dr. Plesko before your eyes, but he didn't. He blew him up.
Right.
So that throw that into the idea that his code name symbolizes calamity and disaster. It's a strong possibility.
I think that's pretty good.
That being said, the dialogue in this issue itself suggests Frenchie as a candidate. Even though it makes no sense whatsoever based on where Frenchie last was, they use a very similar quote in this issue. Now, it's a very common quote. I've used it myself. But the fact that they both speak of the devil and they shall appear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's either a huge hint or a huge red herring. I can't tell which.
Yeah. You would think you'd be able to tell if it was Frenchie, though, because
out of anyone on the planet, like, he would know that's like,
Well, he doesn't sound like this.
Yeah.
Right.
But
that's just it. He's not talking in the accent.
So who knows? And wild card suggestions would be Jeff Wild, because frankly everyone else has shown up, and he does have a bone to pick with Mark Spector. And just because he hasn't shown up recently, why not throw Rutherford Winter into the mix?
Rutherford Winter,
who is in this issue, but only in the past. So, but he's the way out candidate.
Well, I have a pretty way out there candidate too, but
hit me up.
Yeah, what is it, Russell?
I don't think this one is feasible at all because, I mean, it's so it's such a deep cut, and especially because I'm pretty sure this character is dead. Why can't it be Carson Knowles' kid?
Oh, yeah. I thought the son was dead, though, wasn't he?
He was like the mother. I'm pretty sure the mother called him and told him that his kid was dead. What if she lied?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but and this is comics. Nobody stays dead.
That's true. Yeah.
I can't think of anything that would rule it out.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because
the son of Carson Knowles. Yeah.
I can't even. There was something in the dialogue with Black Spectre, and especially the fact that he has. Did I freeze up?
Just for a second. You're all right.
The main thing that pointed me to that is why would he have the original Black Spectre's armor?
Right. Yeah.
And why would
how
it?
did he get it? Yeah.
Yeah, and why would it be back there like an effigy, like a monument, like
Yeah. A religious thing. Yeah.
So maybe it's the sun. I don't think that is entirely possible, but plausible. I guess it is possible, but I don't know if it's plausible. I also had the idea that it was Dr. Plesko. I think that would be kind of boring, though. I mean, I feel like we don't really know this character. I don't think it would have a whole lot of a punch to it. But that at the same time, that's what kind of made Zodiac fun, is that this was a character that appeared in like 5 comics.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think those were the 2 that I was bouncing around. I'm still not convinced it's not Carson. Obviously, we've seen the grave. Some of the dialogue, it seems like it's not him because, but I don't think he's ever come out and said is like, I'm not the original Black Spectre, or I'm not the new Black Spectre, I'm whatever. And I do find it very interesting that the second Black Spectre is a part of his what do you call it? His web, if you will.
Right. Yeah. He didn't just kill him and be like, yeah, I'm the Black Spectre.
Which I thought Mr. Knight killed him in the Ellis run, but I guess he survived. So for some reason, remembered him getting blown up by a car. But
that's what I thought too. But I guess
the panel where they flash back to that issue, essentially redraws it, is in that issue. It's completely redrawn, but he does manage to crawl out of the car bleeding heavily. So
I see.
The idea that he was able to survive is not beyond the realm of possibility. I mean, Mr. Knight just sort of mocks him and saying, I don't want to be loved. That's why I always win, and walks away. He doesn't finish him off in any real fashion. So, passing cop could have picked him up and, after he was patched up, sent him off to jail. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility. It's a bit of unexpected survival because, if you crawl out of an exploding car, you tend not to last that long.
It's going to leave you with some marks afterwards.
And a Moon Knight said he's able to eat solid food again. Kind of.
Mostly.
Yeah. But
I thought that was interesting because earlier in the issue, when Moon Knight was talking to Ball, he said something about it'll be the third Black Spectre I put down, which kind of makes it sound like Moon Knight thought the second one was dead also. But then I guess there's more than one meaning of put down, I guess.
Right. Well, he's probably just talking about how he killed Carson like 3 times. No, I'm kidding. But he he did kind of. I've just one more thing that I just want to add to the thing that it could be Carson Knowles still. Again, this is comics characters. Unless you're Uncle Ben, you don't stay dead forever.
Sure.
And this is probably nothing. But when issue 24 came out, I tweeted Jed and I referenced a running gag that Jed had with us on Tomes of Evil, where he said, well, how is the Black Spectre going to come back? Is he going to stick his thumb in his mouth and blow himself back up? And I tweeted Jed, I was like, well, looks like somebody stuck their thumb in their mouth and blew themselves back up. Sent back and he just sent back.
Oh, you froze up, Russell.
I think
a
we lost
gif of him winking.
Oh, you froze up, Russell. Yeah, we didn't hear what he said for the reply afterwards. Oh, Russell,
Can you hear us?
you still there? Uh-oh. He might be having connection issues.
Well, while he reconnects, I did allude to a really deep cut from the Mark Spector Moon Knight run, which is Moon Knight name dropping Dead Zone.
Oh, Dead Zone, yes.
Dead Zone, who actually has a bit in common with Manslaughter Marsdale in the fact that neither of them can feel pain.
Mm-hmm.
But
I actually
of course,
didn't remember who that was. I was like, who the heck is Dead Zone?
I had to look him up. He only appeared in about a half dozen issues of Mark Spector Moon Knight. First appeared at the end of issue 46. Didn't really do much of anything until 48 and 49.
Yeah, wasn't he the dude that was on death row? They were going to electrocute him, and then
he got better.
He got better, yeah.
And got a whiff because 90s.
Well,
if you look at the character design, it's just plain ridiculous.
You all right, Russell? You fixed your...
I don't know.
Okay. I think you're back to... Yes, you're back to normal now.
I stuck my thumb in my mouth and blew myself back up.
Yeah, you're not doing the max headroom thing anymore, so I think...
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I just wanted to basically fill time while you reconnected. So you were discussing tweeting Jed about Black Spectre.
Yeah.
So what did he say for a reply?
He just sent a gif of him doing a winky face, like.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, that's probably nothing. That's probably just like, yes, it's an acknowledgement that it is a Black Spectre. But
right.
Yeah, if I had to bet money, I would say that it is a new Black Spectre altogether. But in my heart of hearts, I want it to be Carson because that's the man that broke Moon Knight the best. He was also the coolest looking. He looked like a Conan villain, for God's sake.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying this is the case, but here's throwing it out just because it's just crazy enough for Jed to do it. What if the new Black Spectre is Bushman?
When I first saw him in that armor in that page where he was talking about welcome to his version of the Midnight Mission, that was the first thought that I had. I was like, that almost looks like Bushman, like the pose and everything. Just the way that he was sitting in the chair is very Bushman.
Well, it's also very Mr. Knight. I mean, it's clear parallel to the opening of issue number 1.
But I thought, no, that can't be. That can't be Bushman in that armor. That can't be.
I'd say he's way, I'd say the odds of him being Bushman are pretty low.
Yeah.
I'm still putting my money on Plesko, but I'm perfectly willing to be proven wrong because Jed's pretty much the only comic book writer out there who could still surprise me.
Yeah. Well, Leyna, do you have any thoughts about who the new Black Spectre might be?
Yeah, my main theory was Plesko also, mainly because of the fact that he knew about the Karnak Cowboys, and then also that quote at the end that Mario had mentioned about the speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
yeah, I think it seems like
saying that,
yeah,
and also I just don't want it to be Frenchie.
Yeah, I don't want it to be Frenchie either.
Frenchie has had a beef with Mark, but I don't think he would go that far to try to destroy him and be that evil.
No, right. He wouldn't go on a rampage killing the Shadow Cabinet and doing all this stuff. Yeah, no. I think it's either Plesko or it's Jeff Wild. Like, I kind of want it to be Jeff Wild, to be honest with you, because I really like that character, and I feel like we haven't seen enough of him as a recurring Moon Knight nemesis.
How do we know it's not 8-Ball? And that's the big scam.
Because don't we hear Black Spectre talking while...
Could have been a recording. He could have jigsawed it. He could have had tape set up all over the place, and he was like, "Play me." No, I don't actually think it's 8-ball.
Speaking of 8-ball, speaking of 8-ball, I didn't know about the thing you mentioned about the hovercraft in the shape of a pool ball rack. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna have to look up that issue now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's Sleepwalker number 2. It's
Sleepwalker number 2. And of all villains to actually you introduce a superhero onto the comic book page, and 8-ball kicks your ass. You know that you're struggling. You're struggling.
There's nowhere to go but up from there.
How do we know it's not the Green Goblin? I guess he's coming back now. So I'm kidding.
Oh,
Again,
is he?
I'm just being delirious now.
There was one interesting bit about Black Spectre at the beginning of the issue. He talks about the Chapel Perilous instead of the Midnight Mission.
Chapel Perilous, yeah.
It's very Knights Templar, but I'm not going to get into that. But he doesn't ask. He doesn't help people.
Mm-hmm.
He exchanges favors.
Right.
See, if he was just Mr. Knight but helping villains, that would be one thing. But his help is transactional. You do something for me.
Yeah.
I do something for you. You do something for me.
Right.
He's not doing it out of any sense of altruism. He's doing it to gain an advantage. The guy who he helps at the beginning of the issue is a security guard who starts the evil noise at the
rave.
prison
At the
Meridian.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's a whole different kind of approach, masquerading as being just an evil midnight mission.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely so far he's worked very differently than the Carson Knowles Black Spectre, and I think that's another hint that it's not him, because Carson was very hands-on.
He didn't have other people doing his work for him. He went out and did it himself.
I mean, he had henchmen that he called the Ghosts, which it's funny that Moon Knight calls himself a ghost at one point. But yeah, Black Spectre, his whole thing was that, okay, I'm this badass dude with a mace at night, and I'm a political puppet master during the day. And that's why I always thought that Black Spectre was like, he was the perfect villain that they could have done in the MCU because of the political climate that is still happening. But yeah, he's more of a puppet master, pulling the strings. And he definitely looks like he could hold his own in a fight. He's a big dude. But yeah.
No, I think the puppet master is Philip Masters, isn't it?
the best eyebrows of any supervillain.
Yeah. Anyway, I think he's tied up with FF right now.
I just thought of a crazy theory. At the beginning of the issue, it says that all he asks in return is your soul. Maybe it's Mephisto.
That's one nemesis that Moon Knight needs, Mephisto. Yeah.
Maybe it's Ethan Hawke.
It could be. You already had Mephisto as a nemesis once already. The whole Age of Khonshu thing.
I tried to forget about that one.
I think a lot of people want to forget about that one.
Yeah, I try to block that one out.
The best thing I can say about Age of Khonshu is that it gave us this run.
Yes, that's the silver lining. There's always a silver lining, and that was it for this. Yeah,
a jet and silver lining. Oh, come on, you guys know.
That's a good one, Mario.
Well, what else do we want to talk about this issue? Justin, did you give your thoughts on who you thought it would be?
Well, I think it's either Plesko or Jeff. I want it to be Jeff Wild. Like that's kind of who I'm hoping it is, but I kind of think that it is Dr. Plesko.
My money's on Ray.
That's where he is. That's where he's been this whole
that's what he's
time.
been doing.
Yeah,
He's betraying the name of Khonshu.
Yeah,
and
He's
joining
taking
the
up
what was
the
it called? What was
mantle.
it called? The
Chapel Perilous.
yes,
Perilous, yes.
that's so cool. That's
I love
so
that.
cool.
I love
I
that.
mean, but yeah, what else do we want to talk about?
Well,
I
there's the
wanted to talk
backup
about
story,
the,
which
oh,
is
sorry,
a
Mario.
lot wordier than I expected,
What was
but
that?
still a good story.
Yeah, that backup story is one of Justin and I's favorites. We both ranked it in our top 5 Moon Knight stories. It was number 1 for you, right, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. That is my favorite.
The only time Randall Spector was cool, and it wasn't even him apparently.
No, it was him.
Yeah.
I still say it was him. I don't care what that foolishness says.
Yeah, I try to forget that anything Mark Spector Moon Knight did.
Well, that story in particular, I just.
But yeah.
That whole Mark Spector Moon Knight run, I always call it Mark Spector, I'm in deep denial.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that the whole run didn't really reference his DID at all.
Yeah, at all. In almost 60 issues. Yeah, there's not barely any reference at all. Yeah.
Hey, it had Hobgoblin and Doctor Doom in it, so it is what it is.
There were some good issues in that run, don't get me wrong, but on the whole, yeah. Anyway.
Well, if you want to talk DID, what'd you think of Steven's scene in this issue?
Yeah, that was one thing I wanted to talk about actually, because it's about the only DID reference in the issue.
Yeah,
but, I thought it was interesting that. Well, first of all, I almost forgot that. I was like, "How does Zodiac know about Steven?" And then I remembered, oh yeah, Steven is the one that saved saved him from being killed by Mark in the first place.
Yeah.
Now apparently he was doing it again. And him talking about Mark telling Steven to kill him from inside his head, it kind of reminded me of a faceless bushman Khonshu, kill him, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make myself look like Tigra.
I did sort of like the idea of Stephen Grant playing a profiler role, and yes, that's a reference to an earlier run. But the idea I can read people in the interrogation rooms as well as I can in the boardroom. That's a great
and I
line.
thought that made a lot of sense because even as far back as the Mensch run, Stephen was always psychoanalyzing everybody. There was a scene in one of the Mensch issues where Stephen was kind of going on and talking to Marlene about the differences between himself and Jake and Moon Knight, and how he was even analyzing how Marlene feels about him, and telling her that she was lying to him about how she really felt and that kind of thing.
The idea of Stephen Grant taking the detective role, I think, has a lot of potential.
Definitely.
You've got Mark to do the punchy, hitty stuff. Jake does the intelligence gathering primarily.
Yeah.
He sort of wanders out and gets. What's that line that Jed uses? Stephen makes money. Jake makes friends. Mark makes bodies.
Yeah.
Since they've kind of moved away from the whole millionaire thing, having Stephen be the one who makes deductions is an equally valid interpretation of him.
Yeah.
A moment that I really picked up on, and I think this is thanks to having a lot of chats with Leyna, is that when Zodiac is like throwing a fit, like I'm gonna kill him, he's like, I'm gonna get you, Moon Knight, and Steven's like, Steven, not Moon Knight, Steven.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
that was good. Yeah, that made me happy.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Zodiac writing his name in blood and signing it with dotting the heart eye with a heart. That kind of made me think very Deadpool of him.
Mhm.
Very
Also,
much.
a very
Deadpool would do.
a very hee ho ho man thing
Yes.
to do.
Yes.
But he was just missing a crowbar and some chattering teeth, and Ray's gonna kill us. He's gonna.
Never hope to co-host IT again, you guys. There's too many of the references to that other guy.
Mhm. Well, we're coming up on an hour here, and I know, Mario, you said that you could only do about an hour, so maybe we should start wrapping up here.
Yeah, what are our predictions for the next issue for number 26?
I predicted it'll have something to do with Hunter's Moon and Moloids.
Well, I think Hunter's Moon is on the cover, so I think that's a good call.
And some moloids, too, I think.
Why have the moloids been showing up in everything?
I don't know, but I love it.
Black Spectre is Mole Man? No, I don't think so.
Oh, can you imagine? We see Gigantor tear up through the Midnight Mission.
Well, I was talking about this issue with a friend of mine, and he mentioned to me something that, sort of clicked in my head, which is Jed has tied up most of the loose ends of this issue except for one.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen about Khonshu?
Yeah,
true.
And I'm 90% certain that the next arc, which may very well be the final arc, is going to be less about defeating Black Spectre and more about coping with the Khonshu situation. Because that's the one bit of business that hasn't really been addressed. Now, we know there was something unusual about Hunter's Moon's last resurrection, and it's possible it's going to be addressed in this issue before we get deeply into the weeds on the last days of Moon Knight, which I think is a lot better name than Night's End, because frankly, that reminds me of, but it almost feels like that would be too easy. Just have Khonshu be taken care of it in one issue story involving moloids. So if I was going to make a prediction of what's going to happen next, that's where I put my money. Khonshu must be dealt with.
Yeah.
One way or another.
And
how that affects Moon Knight's future, well, that just remains to be seen, doesn't it?
Right. Well, I don't know what's going to happen in the next issue, and I think that's a cool thing that I don't really know what to expect.
It's going to be nice.
What I do think is that, because we know it's official now, the death of Moon Knight is coming.
Yes, it's been announced. Yep.
As Rocky the Flying Scroller will put it, again, that trick never works.
Yeah.
This time for
It's
sure.
kind of like saying the death of Phoenix,
I just figure that Hunter's Moon's going to be Moon Knight for a while. It's going to be Azrael. It's going to be Azrael all over again.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, all I can say about that is that, with the exception of the last issue, Moon Knight's been a top 25 book for its entire run. It's often been in the top 20. A couple of times it's been in the top 10.
Yeah.
In this market, that's insanely good. In most books they start up, in the top 5, and they end up in like the 80s by this point.
Right.
So I can't think that, while this might be the death of Mark Spector, that it's the end of the book. I don't know if there's going to be an issue 31, or if there's going to be a relaunch. I'm hoping that Jed's still on the book, but I'm almost positive that the book's going to continue in one form or another. It's too good not to.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can only think of 2 Marvel comics that have, in the last few years, gotten to 50. Captain Marvel just did it recently. and then Immortal Hulk. I'm
yes.
probably missing something, but those are the two that I think of.
I thought there was a Spider-Man one, but maybe not.
Well, I think that they cheated on that one.
Probably, yeah.
I think they renumbered or
Renumbered
something.
it, yeah.
But
Okay. I thought one of them got to 50. But
you're probably right. Yeah, I don't understand if a book is selling. Why I do understand they want that number one on the shelf so more people will buy it. But if a book's selling consistently well, you don't need to relaunch it. You know, I see. You know, the let's just say the less than. We'll just say the shitty part of our fandom. I always say I've seen so many people like, oh my god, they have rebooted Carol Danvers' book so many times, 10 times in the last 10 years. She's such a failure. They just got to keep doing it. How many fucking times have they rebooted Spider-Man?
yeah,
How many?
True.
How many number ones does he have?
Yeah.
There's only one reason why I can see they'd cancel a book that sells this well. And you kind of alluded to it when you talked about Immortal Hulk. Immortal Hulk ended not because poor sales. It ended because Al Ewing told the story he wanted to tell.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And if Jed feels like the story that he wanted to tell was 30 issues long, then I could see them canceling the book and relaunching it with somebody else later. I'm hoping that's not the case because I love his writing.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't exactly, blame him for not wanting to drag things out past their sell-by date.
True.
He also has a lot more on his plate now.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has definitely
Doctor
become
Strange.
Jed's definitely become my favorite Moon Knight writer for sure. And but at the same time, like I agree with you. If he's told the story that he intended to tell and he feels like he's done, then it would be a perfect time for him to wrap up his run on it. And then maybe he'll come back in a year or two after he's done with something else and do another run on the character. It would be like a return to Moon Knight. Like that would be great. So look, yeah, I'm fine with whatever. I trust that Marvel will put our Moon Knight in good hands, both with the writing and with the art. If Alessandro Cappuccio moves on, I'm faithful that they'll pick an artist that can fill those shoes because those are mighty big shoes to fill as well.
Well, Federico did a good job. Federico
Yeah,
Sabatini.
he did. Yeah,
and the artists on this issue did a great job as well.
Both of the artists on this, the other two, the other Alessandro and the other one, fantastic, excellent. Yeah, I would watch. I would read anything that they had done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the hee hee ho ho man?
Oh, that's my. Can you hear that? That's my bird clock.
Well, I think we should wrap up here.
That's a good signal for us to stop. Yeah.
Mario, do you have where can people find you? Do you have anything to plug?
I'm just a fan. You can find me on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Nice.
Leyna?
There was one more thing I wanted to mention, if that's all right.
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
I just wanted to talk real briefly about the part where Ball was saying to Mark, sometimes it's just easier to be the guy everyone thinks you are, And,
yeah, I like
Mark
that
was
part.
like, I do. And I was just gonna say that's something that I think pretty much every DID system can relate to, I think. Because we all, try to hide who we are to try to appear to be normal and try to appear to be, to everyone to be one person, because we don't want to go around telling everybody about our DID and having to explain it to people and everybody look at us weird and
treat you differently,
be afraid of us or pity us or whatever, So
they look at you or treat you differently.
Everybody wants you to conform.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that really hit me hard because we're, I'm pretty open about my DID online, but in my personal life, we're not nearly as open, and so
Yeah,
that is something that kind of
resonated.
it's
Yeah.
tiresome after a while. That
Yeah.
having to hide who you are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That.
Yeah.
And
that was a great interaction between 8-Ball.
Yeah.
I love that piece of dialogue.
for sure. And I encourage anybody to join our Discord or Facebook group. And I mean, Leyna, you do a great whole little, what are they called? Channels that channel in our Discord, all about understanding DID. I think you do great work there.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions for me about DID, don't hesitate to ask when they're.
And Justin, you think we could really quickly plug all of our 155,000 shows?
I don't know. What do you think?
The one that's been in the works for about a year and a half.
Yes, it's almost done. The Lost Library of Legends.
I'm glad that Leyna's been on you about that one.
Yes,
because
I need people to keep on me about that. It's important. Yes.
Well, actually, in lieu of doing all of our mini plugs, which I'm sure will be in the show notes, I'm just going to leave you all with this. Batman.
No.
Ray's gonna kill you, Russell.
Why so serious? This podcast needs an enema. I think Ray's been using brand X. You need Smilex.
You need to chill out.
You need Smilex, Ray, because you get a grin again and again
and again.
Bob Gunn. I think we need to end on that. Batman.
Well, can I say it?
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming, and may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night.
Yes. Good job, Mario. Thanks, everyone. We'll see
Thank
you
you
next time when we cover City of the Dead #1.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.